So, we're officially in the stage of War Within's news cycle where we know pretty much all of the new hero talent trees coming for every class in the new expansion. If you haven't seen them, I'll leave a link at the calculator down in the description. This is a particular feature I've been greatly looking forward to, so much so, in fact, that I made completely new characters just to make them fill certain hero talent roles. But now that we know what the specs are, I have some feelings. It's going to be a pretty short video, but here goes anyways. While some of the new specs are badass and absolutely hit the mark that lots of people like myself are hoping for, others just seem like generic modifiers to the base class. Now, I completely understand the need for some of these hero specs to be boring like this. There does need to be options that still feel somewhat like the regular classes in case someone doesn't want to be something completely new, but there's tons of potential for cool class archetypes being lost to this philosophy, and that potential is what I want to talk about. There's actually a pretty easy way to navigate this philosophy of non-transformative spec options while still allowing them to also fill the new archetypes that would make them more interesting. You just need to take the trees the same way that they are and make some of the static options into choice nodes instead, or add an extra, mostly cosmetic effect to existing choice nodes. Take Ride of the Apocalypse, for example. One of their earliest picks in the tree is a choice node that can either let you ride your Death Charger in combat at any time you're outdoors to really fulfill the concept of being a member of the Four Horsemen or Warcraft RTS Death Knight, or a cooldown that breaks snares and makes you faster like a Paladin Steed ability. One choice is something that's really cool but largely inconsequential to how the spec works, and the other is an optional utility skill for people who don't want to change their Death Knight permanently into a mounted class. So, quite simply, the fix for this issue is to just copy that philosophy from the Rider's talent tree of inconsequential style points. For example, let's start with the Shadowpan. The sound of that spec made me think we'd be getting a type of archetype that would fill the role of a Blade Master, which made sense, seeing as the Shadowpan are essentially Pandaria's military and utilize weapons all the time, and Monk's class aesthetic also plays into the Blade Masters, unlike Warrior, which can be built like a Blade Master, but will still feature Berserker type abilities like Enrages and Slams. Let's try to work something into this tree that doesn't really need anything around it to be redesigned, but still does what we're trying to accomplish. Anything we can read and immediately associate with weapons. Here we are, Whirling Steel. Now, what do monks need to be a Blade Master? First off, let's add can use great swords. That's fine right there, since survival hunters use great swords, so some of them already have agility. And of course, a Blade Master would actually use their sword, so transforms your skills to use your equipped weapon instead of your fists. There, we've changed absolutely nothing about the Shadowpan's power or playstyle, since this simply applies on a defensive passive talent, provided an option that allows the Blade Master fantasy to finally work on a class that fits it, and made that option, well, optional, as the other choice in the node is also just another defensive passive. Right, that's one down. Now that we've got a good rhythm, another should be pretty easy. So next up, Spellslinger. The name right there, obviously, I'm making a connection to Gunslinger but with spells. Now I'm thinking mage, but guns. So let's use this spec to bring in the magic archer archetype. Now, Slippery Slinging. It's already a choice node like the Shadowpan one, so that makes this easier. It's also already a utility choice node, so we don't have to worry about that either. Let's say for Slippery Slinging, you can now use guns, bows, and crossbows, and agility from gear is converted into intellect. And your spells will now be cast through your equipped weapon as a medium instead of barehanded. And now, with one simple, inconsequential choice, we have the option to turn Spellslinger into Spell Slinger. And that's really enough to cover my point. I'm not going to draw this out and try to shove more of my personal ideas into this video, but rather, leave these two here to show how easy it is to fix these hero talents. From there, you can probably piece together ways to make this work for other ideas like Necromancer or single weapon rogue duelists, but I'm not here to redesign all these talents for Blizzard right now. I just want them to see that they can do better, and we all know it, and I think deep down, they know it too, because we've seen how some of the specs are better, and they've shown from the Oracle situation that they're willing to go even further than I've gone in this video to make sure people like the new specs. So my last words for you today are this. If you like a game, it's still okay to recognize when it doesn't do something as well as it could. When you make those things known and express those complaints rightly, the games you like could become even better. I think these hero talents are actually a great example of this. There's an insane amount of potential with the system, and it shows in some of the specs, but it fails to meet that potential with many of the other options. And I just want the game to meet that potential.